Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts or leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help our audience learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or fun fact around the IT world or technology towards the end. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and with my co-host Sudhakar. So folks, today we are going to discuss a topic accelerating your sales team's productivity positively. And we are pleased to welcome Dr. Sridhar to our show.
Thank you Naveen and Sudhakar for hosting me. Thank you very much. Look forward to your conversation.
Sure. Dr. Sridhar Guda is currently working as a professor at IIM Kozhikode with the aim to make the sales profession nobler. He is passionately learning and advocating best practices in selling, rural marketing, and distribution channels. Before joining IIM, Dr. Sridhar worked in other prestigious institutions like the Institute of Technology and Management Warangal, Marico Limited, in addition to a stint as a visiting professor with AIT Bangkok. Dr. Sridhar, welcome to our show.
Thank you Sudhakar for welcoming. Pleasure having you.
Thank you for taking time, Dr. Sridhar. So, talking a bit about becoming a professor, have you thought of becoming a professor since childhood? What inspired you to pick this noble profession of learning and sharing?
That is a very interesting thing. My father is also a professor and my professor in marketing. So whether my father has influenced or not is a big answer that which we can find out. But right from the childhood, I was thinking that I will never become a teacher like my father. I wanted to be something different. Wanted to get into business. And tried my hands. After my post-graduation in management, I joined industry, worked there for a couple of years. Even then, I never thought I will be becoming a faculty. But then I quit industry for some personal reasons. Then joined as a teacher in Warangal. I think that's where the idea of becoming a faculty grew. Thanks to some of my friends, advisors and all, I joined the Institute for Rural Management, Anand in Gujarat. I think that's where I really changed. I could find some of the dedicated souls I met ever in my life, notably my teachers. And then it was a decision that which brought me to this profession. As of now, I don't have any intention to change because this gives so much of love and affection, which probably other fields may not give as much as this is.
Absolutely. The love and affection that you get, and also the opportunity that you can influence millions of students directly and indirectly, right?
Correct. But a huge inspiration behind my joining should be my father, undoubtedly. Because the way he conducts himself is an inspiration not to me but to several of his students. In fact, he was my teacher also. So in many ways, he would have influenced me indirectly and directly.
Absolutely. You know, when you have that vibe in your vicinity, automatically you get influenced, like the way you mentioned, sometimes knowingly, unknowingly, directly, indirectly.
Correct.
So why did you choose sales as a specialization? What made you to pick that as an option?
As soon as I finished my post-graduation, I joined in sales. Because that's a role where I really thought I would be interested in. I was reasonably okay in sales to some extent, as a result of which I probably also can say that sales was good as a profession for me because it teaches life. To me, everybody is a salesman in life, and that I started learning as I was in the field. One of the most important things that which sales teaches us is that how actually people behave, how numerous occasions can dictate a single person behave differently, is the greatest lesson I learned from sales. Once I finished my sales stint and went back to teaching, I may not have really worked in sales for my thesis, but when I joined IIM Kozhikode, this was one course which was offered to me, which I immediately grabbed, and a passion and development centric approach over a couple of years from there on led my interest deepen into sales. This has further got accentuated because of the training I was involved in, learned, read, talked to several sales guys, and over a period of time, sales has taught me more than anything probably. So I still believe sales chose me and I chose sales. Probably it's a symbiotic relationship.
That's quite interesting. Can we talk a little bit about the evolution of sales now that you have been in this domain for quite some time? So what are some of the changes that have taken place in the last few decades?
Actually, sales was a foundation of the society. If you look at any history, the fundamental transaction would have happened. Any business transaction would not have happened without selling. So sales is as old as probably humans' existence. But the modern day sales, what we call now, is a result of industrial era, which started in 1800s, where the technology in Europe has actually built up huge number of industries. At some point in time, sales became a function in an organization as a result of excessive production because organizations wanted to distribute these products. Over that, as years passed, people wanted to not just look at just distribution by the sales guys, but also to influence a consumer. And that's where the actual role of salesperson, what you find nowadays in terms of influencing, has been taken care of. Over a period of time, it grew, and then the wars, depressions led to its own changes in sales field. Recessions and all had a tremendous impact on salespeople. For some or the other reasons, many people even now don't like sales, and the birth of that particular so-called taboo of sales could be traced during these times where salespeople had to use multiple, if so, not so well worth considering approaches also to sell their products. As a result of which, sales got tarnished. But over the last 3 to 4 decades, there has been a tremendous change in sales happening. Since marketing is looked from a value angle, sales became a key delivery point of that value apart from the distribution. So it's very, very critical for salespeople to be upright, to be on to what the consumers require, understand them, so on and so forth. So over a period of time, if you really look at, sales has evolved. In the modern era, you can take from 1800s to till now 2020s, it has changed humongously, and I don't see any reason why it will not change in the future. It keeps on evolving, and that's what is the beauty about this profession. There might have been professions which have come, there might have been some interesting fad concepts in management which came and went, but selling will be there. It will be keeping on evolving, and that's why it's one of the most interesting subjects to work on.
Mm-hmm. That was a clear picture of the evolution. Now, talking about the pandemic has impacted almost every sector and every domain and every function. So is the case with the sales. So how do you think this pandemic has influenced the Salesforce productivity?
That's a good question, Naveen. I think not a single profession was not influenced by the pandemic, and sales is no exception. But before we get into sales, let me just give you 3 or 4 important aspects because sales is part of business. That's how we are seeing. We are not seeing sales in this particular viewpoint as a part and parcel of somebody's communication. If you look at it as a part of organization, we need to see how organizations have changed during pandemic. 2 or 3 major changes. One is that the spending has reduced in almost, as per some McKinsey survey, the spending has reduced to roughly about 55% of organizations, spending has come down. But there are still organizations which are increasing the spending. When you look at this spending, where there is growing, much of the spending is happening in digital platforms. So there has been a tremendous growth in the digital platforms. As much as probably about 40 to 45% of the investments which were probably on other ways have been diverted to building up digital platforms. Now, in some cases, it is now becoming twice as important as it was pre-pandemic, as per some studies. So both consumers have changed, sales organizations have also changed. Now, this is what is very interesting. When we are talking about evolution, the evolution happens due to these external situations. As a result of which, selling now is becoming sort of partly or probably majorly a remote selling. Now, digital processes and platforms have evolved sales to a different level. Digital selling is growing. Humongous efforts which are happening around in digital platforms and how sales can be enabled. So if you look at the evolution of sales along with this pandemic, which is more or less about a year or so now, sales changed a lot. In fact, probably this is one defining era where the sales in a year or span has probably dramatically changed. Probably there is no event as such to the recent understanding that 1 year has dramatically changed sales as a field. Now, what did it change? One, the traditional sales role, which started from identifying prospects to post-purchase surveys, is no more going to be valid. Many of these functions will be taken care by either marketing or IT functions in organizations. For example, sourcing of customers or prospects. Lead generation will be taken by digital processes, which will be managed by IT or marketing guys. Now, when these things come out, it looks like as if the role of sales is shrinking. But to me, I think sales is going to be there. The core function of sales is to build, enable customer relationships. That is what was earlier, that is what it will be now, and that is what will remain. No matter what processes come in the near future, the role of sales will be about this. Now, what has always also changed, what has otherwise also changed is remote selling, as I was mentioning earlier. Now, what has this has an impact on? It has an impact on the way you sell. Earlier, you were meeting face to face out of 12 occasions, at least 10 times. Now, you only meet face to face 2 times or so. That means a major amount of interaction is happening on digital platforms. This is a significant change that should be rapidly adapted. It also requires a sales guy to be more empathetic now than ever. We were all looking at empathy as a key criteria for sales guys. Now it requires to be much more in abundance than required. It requires more amount of collaboration with multiple stakeholders in sales. Though value remains to be the core function of sales delivery processes, its nature of delivery will have a significant. So all this net will have an impact on sales guys' anxiety levels, performance levels, so on and so forth. But then that's how any field evolves. I don't see any reason why sales will be very different.
Dr. Sridhar, you covered the digital platforms, the critical business transformation phase of this era. And you highlighted the way the Salesforce engagement with the prospective customers, in this remote arena. So what are your tips for accelerating the productivity of Salesforce in this remote engagement model? You talked about empathy. Anything else that come to your mind when we talk about this peculiar situation, if I may say?
I think sales has been either transactional or relationship oriented till now. There are numerous fads and terms which came up. But henceforth, a sales guy should be more like a holistic guy. It's no more going to be that you are managing just with your skills. Now, what is this holistic salesperson all about? Holistic salesperson is good at least or probably comprises of 5 different elements. One is in terms of knowledge. What is this knowledge about? Knowledge about customers, competitors, and product. These are the 3 essential knowledge where the sales guy has to be really, really good at. When I mean product, I mean equally the organization. When I mean the customer, it is not the guy who is just getting interacted with, but equally the entire ecosystem of the customer. 3 is the competitor. Now, the second sphere is about skills. There are broadly about 3 to 4 important skills which are required. First is analytical skills. Thanks to digital, the data has now been abundantly generated. A sales guy should have skills to go through this data, make a meaningful analytical conclusion out of it. The second most important skill to me for a sales guy is analogical skills. What is analogical is building up relationships. In the sense, if you see a data, can you probably look at how each of these variables are really behaving? Now, can you draw some meaningful conclusions out of it? What I generally call as the Kalidasa skill, because Mahakavi Kalidas was known to be a greatest analogical skills that which he would have possessed. He used to draw parallels in his poems between one element to another. The third one is what I call as intuitive skills. Analytical skills are more about looking at objectiveness in data. Intuitiveness requires a bit of forecasting and also a bit of clarity in terms of what somebody is looking to have in future. The third sphere is about heart. How far are you able to relate to the customer, which probably can be measured through emotional quotients, empathy, that which somebody would really have. The fourth one, which I feel is very, very critical, is that of mindset or mind that which is there. There's a beautiful book by Carol Dweck where she wrote a book called Mindset. As per her, there are two different types of minds. One is a fixed mindset, the other is a growth mindset. A growth minded salesperson would look at opportunities that which he could not capture as a learning, while a fixed mindset person keeps on sulking about what happened. He's more of a fatalist, while a growth minded salesperson is more interested in learning. So you need those kinds of people where failure becomes the second nature of sales. You need to evolve like a growth mindset. And finally, what I call as a soul or a spiritual one is you need to see work as a sort of an achievement by itself of self-actualization, where you see that spiritualness is not typically what you generally think when I say spiritual as some religious connotation, but spiritualness is about seeing work as worship. Somebody where they feel that this is what is part and parcel of their life, and how do they dedicate their working hours towards this. Now, net, a holistic sales guy is very good or highly rated on knowledge, skills, heart, mind, and soul. So these are the 5 important elements for accelerating productivity of a sales.
Excellent tip, sir. So let us fast pace this conversation with some rapid fire questions. And the first one is like, what is one thing that you ask your students to look for in a customer?
What do you want to look into the customer? Oh,
yeah.
First of all, they should understand before they go itself to a customer, they should understand that. That's the first thing a sales guy he should be very good at.
Okay, yeah. That's amazing. Second one, advice you would give to someone thinking of starting their own business.
Never lose hope. Things are bad, that's fine. Things will come out, it's good. If you have started a business, be very sure that you are interested in that. And if you have started, don't lose hope. Things will fall in place.
That's bang on. Third one, what is one mistake you witness Salesforce making more frequently than others?
I would say 2. They don't know their product and don't know their customers.
Wow. All right. So fourth one, what is one characteristic that you believe every salesperson should possess?
I would personally believe if they are able to understand themselves, that is sufficient. More often we are in the rush to understand others, which is the biggest problem for sales guys. If they know what they are, I think they have done. If they are able to know and sell to themselves, they can sell to anyone.
Very nice. Yeah. And one final one for the rapid fire. What is one do you wish you would have done differently?
Me?
Yeah.
I think life has been very kind till now. There could be numerous changes we can ask for, but I believe that God has been kind. My teachers and my parents have been kind enough to me. My wife and my kids are equally kind. So are everyone around me, including my students. So I don't wish to change anything. Things come and go, that's okay, but I think it's fine. I had good things in my life. That's more important for me.
That's a wonderful answer. Thank you. And over to you, Sudhakar.
Yeah, after that profound answer that you don't want to change anything in your life, one final question for this session, Dr. Sridhar. What is your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
I think always be mindful of what you're doing. I learned it the hard way. I was never the same what I am now. I'm keeping on evolving. But what I learned over the last, I would say about 5 years, is being mindful of what you're doing and a tremendous impact it has on everything you do.
Excellent. Dr. Sridhar, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to talk to you about the accelerating sales team's productivity in a positive way. And I'm sure our audience will love those 5 components that you talked about: being analytical, analogical, intuitive, mindset, spiritual. We really appreciate you taking time today. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Naveen and Sudhakar. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks again, Dr. Sridhar. Those are all precious inputs, and I'm sure our audience would love them.
Dear listeners, to know more about our speaker and the content, refer to the show notes and visit or follow us on social media. We are available on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, Pinterest, and also on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and then follow, like, subscribe to us, and also share within your network. In addition, please feel free to email us at The Guiding Voice for You. That is THEGUIDING VOICE 4 as a digit, U as a letter at gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. That is India number 9494587187, and we will be happy to collaborate with you.
Hey Sudhakar, can you talk about the exciting opportunity of featuring our audience on this show?
Sure, Naveen. So guys, of late, we have been receiving a lot of career guidance related questions from our regular listeners through YouTube, LinkedIn comments, WhatsApp, and email. And we are responding to them on one-on-one basis. Now, we are pleased to open up a new mode of interacting with you all while providing a chance to broadcast yourself. If you have any questions related to education, career guidance, or a specific IT function, just send your voice message through speakpipe.com/theguidingvoice. We will play your question in your own voice along with the answer either from us or our expert panel in our future episodes. Hope you will utilize this wonderful opportunity.
Alright, so it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is about a computer virus. So folks, do you know what was the most expensive virus in the history? Alright, you may be thinking, but let me tell you. MyDoom is the most expensive computer virus in the history. And you know the cost of that virus? It was estimated that it had an impact of $38.5 billion in damage. And it came about in the January of 2006. Shortly after that, it earned a name for itself as the fastest spreading virus ever. Scary and interesting, isn't it? Thank you for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. We are signing off.